Hi, this is Tim Brooks with the Ultimate Selling Team at Keller Williams Realty Center.
I just want to thank you for giving our company the opportunity to talk to you about achieving your goal of selling your property for the most amount of money in the least amount of time. Before we get started, I want to talk to you first about what sets us apart as an option for you. And I know, because 99% of the people that I meet with never interview another agent after me, that you're going to see that this is the most thorough process for selling homes out there. It's the most aggressive marketing plan that you've ever seen, and we're the most consumer-focused, consumer-friendly, customer service-driven organization out there. Now, in my experience, there are 3 things that set our company apart from any other company or agent in town. The first thing is that we work as a team. Now, in a normal real estate transaction, we estimate there's 180 individual tasks that need to be taken prior to even getting your home on the market. Now, let me ask you a question. If you were going to build a home, would you have the same person doing your concrete, your dirt work, your painting, your framing, your electrical, your plumbing, decorating the kitchen cabinets, the roof, the inspections? Or would you want to have the best plumber, the best electrician, the best granite guy, the best framer, the best general contractor to build your home? Well, that's the way our team operates. So what we believe is that certain individuals that specialize in certain tasks can give consumers the best experience. So we've built a sales process like a team, which means we divide up tasks into marketing, contract coordination, listing management, communications, negotiations, and we have individuals on our team that specialize in 1 or 2 of those tasks. What's interesting is that most people think that to have so many people working on selling your most valuable asset will cost a lot more money, and you're going to find out after this conversation that we don't cost really any more than anybody else that's a full-time real estate agent. You're going to get the value of a whole team for the price of an individual agent. So that's the first thing that sets us apart, is that we work as a team to sell your home for the most amount of money in the least amount of time. Now, the second thing that sets us apart is our track record. This isn't all of them, but this is an example of some of the homes that we've sold in our area, and it'll give you an example of the type of experience that you're getting.
Now, one thing I've learned is
you can't pick a real estate agent because they've been in the business for 30 years, when in 30 years they've only sold 30 properties. We've sold as much business last year than most agents do in a lifetime, and because of that, I have more experience in the type of things that are relevant today, handling the inspectors today, handling the banks today, and marketing to buyers right now. Track record is the number 2 thing that sets us apart. The third thing is how well we communicate. Now, chances are you were probably frustrated in the amount of communication your previous real estate agents gave to you. Would you say that's true? What I'd like to do is talk to you about how we communicate and how that sets us apart. Well, the first thing that we do is we're going to commit to calling you or emailing you an update on a weekly basis. You pick the day and we'll call you that day every week. If you don't want to hear from us every week, I'll only call you if there's an urgent event like an offer or something that we need to handle, and I can call you every other week or every other month or whatever. It's up to you. I'm hoping that this whole thing will be done for you anyway within a couple weeks if we price the property correctly and get all the marketing out. But on top of that, we're the only ones in the state that use a tool called Brivity. Brivity is a tool that allows you to see everything that we're doing, as you can see on this screen here. Here's a list of all the different tasks that we need to get done today. We need to feature your listing on Craigslist. We need to review this. We need to put it on Zillow. We need to do all these things every time I take a listing, and we populate the hundreds of things that we need to get done on this list, and I can log in on any given day and see if I have something overdue, anything that's due today, what's coming up. When I check the box that I've done this task for you, you're going to get an email that says, congratulations, here are the 13 things we did to get your home sold this week. By the way, here's all the places that we've advertised it this week, and here's a list of all the showing feedback. And in that same email, when you click on the link, you're going to get sent to a page that shows you all the things that we're doing. You're going to land on a timeline that's going to be a list of everything that's going on. And then you can click on the advertising button and see all the places we've advertised your property. By the way, when you click on that, on the places we've advertised your property, you're going to go to your listing on that site. You're going to see your listing on RE/MAX, Century 21. You're going to see your listing on the competitive company sites in town. You'll see your listing on Zillow, Trulia, Redfin, and all those sort of things. Tasks. You'll see a list of all the tasks our team has completed for you. Showings. You'll see a list of all the showings and feedback. You'll see a list of all the notes. You can leave notes and you can request things like more flyers or an open house or a phone call. You'll have access to all of this 24 hours a day. This allows you to be 100% in control, to know exactly what we're doing for the fee that we're charging, and to have more communication than you've ever had before in your experience of selling homes. This alone sets us apart from all other agents. I believe in transparency, and if I'm transparent with you and what I'm doing to market your home, you'll be able to give me suggestions. You'll be able to appreciate all the things that I'm doing, and we'll be able to communicate honestly about the pricing and other things. What I want your permission to share with you exactly what agents are saying about your property, exactly what buyers are saying, and without filtering it. Would that be all right with you? Now, when you add those three things up, how we work as a team, our sales track record, and how we communicate, most of the time sellers are ready to list their properties with us right there on the spot. What I'd like to do is slow us down a little bit, and I want to talk to you about what are the three things that determine if your property will or will not sell in this market. The first thing that determines if your property will or will not sell in this market is how well your property is priced. Now, price is not something that I get to decide, and to be honest, it's not something that you get to decide either. You get to decide what your home is listed for, but not what it sells for. What I'd like to do is talk to you a little bit more about pricing. The value of your property is really determined by what a buyer in this market is willing to pay at any specific moment in time. Also, value is determined by how fast you'd like to sell that property. And I want to go through a couple things that we do to make sure that we give you the most accurate value for your property at any given moment. Now, we've developed a plan called the 555, and I doubt many other agents have ever talked to you about that. But the 555 is a program that I show you 5 active properties that I think match your exact criteria, location, amenities, features, etc., 5 pending properties, these properties have actually accepted offers, and 5 sold properties, properties that have actually closed recently within, let's say, 90 to 180 days from today. Based on the 555, when we're done with this program, going through and looking at these comparable properties, I believe that you and I will have a clear indication that your property will actually sell for in this market. And then, at the end, you and I will have a couple more important choices to make. 1, do you accept the value in today's market and you want to proceed with selling? 2, the value is not right for you and you want to just hold off for 5 to 7 years until the market rebounds so you can get the value you want. Or 3, maybe we could talk about some additional strategies to maybe try a range of prices as a kind of compromise if that works for you. Traditionally, what I know in today's market is if we have your property priced correctly, in the first 30 days we should have some offers on your property. It doesn't mean we have to accept them, but we should at least have a couple people interested in making offers. At the end of 30 days, if we have people looking at your property but nobody's decided to make an offer, in my experience, we're at least 4 to 6% off in pricing. If we have a low amount of showings and still no offers, in my experience, we're about 6 to 12% off in our initial pricing estimate. And then sometimes what happens is we end up being way off and we get no showings at all. And there's people just driving by, there's nobody that even wants to look inside. And in that situation, we have to be at least 12% off in price. So what I'm going to do at the end of 30 days of marketing your property, if I don't have it sold already, we'll sit down and we'll review how many showings, how many offers, etc., and we'll make a decision if we need to make a price adjustment or if we need to wait it out a little bit longer. Now, the second thing that we've determined that will allow a property to sell or not sell in this market is how well it shows. Now, what I'm talking about is when we walk into your property, is it clean? Is it organized? Don't worry, we'll give you some staging tips once we get the listing paperwork handled. What I want to do is make sure that you understand this evolution in today's market. See, 7 or 8 years ago, when I would invite a client into my office, I would sit around the conference room table with them, and these were potential buyers, and I would lay out a whole bunch of paperwork and say, these are the 10 or 12 properties that I'm going to show you today. Now what happens when I invite clients into my office and we sit around the conference room table is they reach for their iPad, their cell phone, or their pieces of paper that they pull out and say, Tim, Dan, these are the 10 or 12 properties you're going to show us today. See, buyers in today's market are deciding to see the property prior to even meeting with the real estate agent. And you're probably aware of this, but where do you think buyers are finding these properties before they talk to agents? Exactly. See, a lot of buyers are out searching on the internet, which means we need to see that your property shows well online. And what I mean by that is we take some extra time to make sure that we have a beautiful virtual tour, that we have excellent videos created for your property. I call those 24-hour open houses, where we take as many photos as possible. We allow our staff to touch them up. We can make brown grass green. We can remove a hose if it's accidentally in the picture. I'm going to showcase your property so that it looks so phenomenal that everybody sees it online and is going to want to come inside. Does that sound good to you?
Now I want to show you an exact example of the video walkthrough 24-hour open house we are going to provide for your property. You are going to get the exact same thing as we're showing you here.
Now, if we do the first two things, which is price the property correctly, and then the second thing, which is make it show well, both in person and online, the third thing we have to do is market the property effectively. Now, of all the three things that I say will determine if a property will or will not sell, this is the thing that I own as the agent. See, the first one is determined by the market. The second one is really determined by how well you can do repairs, staging, and get the property picked up and cleaned up. And the third one is what we own as real estate agents, because we're the ones who decide how your property is going to get marketed and showcased across the nation. Now, I've got to ask you a question. If your property had previously been listed with another agent and failed to sell, which one of the three things do you think determined that your property didn't sell for the probably 180 days that you had it on the market? If you said marketing, that would be the response 99% of the time that we get from consumers. See, we specialize in marketing and selling properties that have resisted sales in the past. And we've sold a lot of homes that were previously listed with another agent, like you might have, and they couldn't get it sold. We take the listings and we get them sold. Now, marketing is one of these things that very few real estate professionals really understand. Most real estate professionals are salespeople, or they're people. They aren't necessarily the systems-based marketing experts that it takes to get properties sold for the most amount of money in the least amount of time in this market. Now, every single year, the National Association of Realtors does a profile of the buyers and sellers of the nation. And what they found is, in their study, they figure out how buyers found the actual home that they purchased, and they break that out into a pie chart for us. And I've been able to take this material every single year for the last 7 or 8 years and craft a marketing plan that matches how buyers are actually searching today, because it's changed every single year since I got into the business. Now, the National Association of Realtors profile of buyers and sellers first said that real estate agents are an important piece of the marketing process. What they said was nearly 35% of all transactions come because a real estate agent like me said, you should come out and see this specific property. Now, in the past, this number's been as high as 50, 60, 70, and 80%, which means real estate agents were extremely important in the past. But still, nearly a third of all transactions come because of a real estate agent saying, go see this particular property. Because this number is so large, we need to make sure that we have a marketing plan in place that will allow us to market directly to real estate professionals. Are you aware of anything that your previous agent did to market your property to other real estate agents? Okay, maybe you said the MLS. Well, maybe that's a little bit of it. We actually have a full marketing plan just for marketing your property to other agents. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to create electronic flyers for your property. And we're going to deliver those electronic flyers to all the real estate agents we possibly can in all the surrounding counties, not just our own. And we'll even send a few to Virginia and Pennsylvania because we live so close. Additionally, we're going to print out paper flyers and we're going to deliver those to the top 20% of agents that we can so that they can see the features and benefits your property has to offer. Now, in our market, about 20% of the agents do about 80% of the transactions. So it's very important that I focus on getting to the people that have the most and highest probability of having a buyer that matches your property. Additionally, we're going to send out copies of the virtual tour and the video tour to the agents in our area, and we're going to post your virtual tour in the MLS so that all agents can see all the interior photos and videos and decide if it's the right property to show their particular clients. We're going to stand up in our realtor and office meetings and talk about your property, the features and benefits. And the fifth thing that we do, and it's probably the strongest thing that we have to offer in this area, is we're going to have constant communications with agents in our area, specifically agents that have shown your property. Now, in our experience, communication has been the #1 complaint sellers give about what they wish their previous agents would have done better. Now, some agents do a good job of sending out an email or making a phone call, and then they get a response, hey, we showed your property, but our buyers aren't going to buy. What I'd like to do is actually give them a survey and kick this up a notch to find out, when someone views your property, I want to say, okay, agent A, are they going to make an offer? And if they're not going to make an offer, is there anything we can do to get them to make an offer? Are there any changes to the property that they'd like to see that would make it more appealing to them? And if they're not going to buy this property, is there another property in this market that I can show to my sellers so they'd understand why your clients chose that one over ours? Then I'm going to give all that feedback directly to you, and I'm not going to filter any of it, if that's all right with you. Would you be okay if I was completely transparent and didn't hold anything back? Okay, now if I added all these things together, this would be my marketing plan for real estate agents. Is there anything that another agent has said or told you that they do specifically to market to other agents that for some reason I forgot to mention? Okay, does this seem like a pretty aggressive, good plan for marketing your property to real estate agents? Well, once we've done a good job of that, we have to continue learning from the profile of buyers and sellers. And we've got to understand that online marketing represents a huge amount of the potential clients out there. What we know is that over 90% of all potential buyers use the internet to search for properties. The interesting thing that we've learned was last year about 37% of all buyers found the actual home that they purchased first online. And this is pretty massive. This is the first time in history where there's been a source greater than the real estate agent at finding the property. And the interesting thing is that almost 90% of all clients, or all buyers anyway, are represented by a real estate professional. So these are the type of people that go online, they find the property, then they call their agent and say, show me this particular property. Agents are still important, but we need to make sure that these potential buyers can find your property online. What we've been able to do is we've identified a plan to make sure your property is showcased in all of the available areas of the internet. Now, this is something that I want to tell you about, the Internet Marketing Specialist designation, which is the most advanced designation for real estate agents that want to learn how to market properties effectively for their clients online. In the Internet Marketing Specialist program, we learned about the 5 buckets of online marketing that allows us to showcase properties most effectively. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through each one of these buckets and take some extra time talking about how a property can be effectively marketed online. Well, what we know is that brokerage websites are extremely important. Brokerage websites would be things like Century21.com, Keller Williams, RE/MAX, Coldwell Banker, etc. Our technology allows us to market your property effectively across a majority of all brokerage websites in the United States. The second bucket that we learned was very effective in marketing properties was national portals. Well, national portals, there's probably 500 different ones, and we've been able to make sure that your property gets showcased on almost all of them across the nation. Now, these are things like Trulia, Realtor.com, Zillow, Realestate.com, ActiveRain, Homes.com, etc. The problem with this market is that when somebody goes to search for properties on one of these national sites, when they find an area they want to search in, there's usually 27 pages of 25 properties per page. And the odds that a particular client are going to get to your property is probably slim to none, because they aren't going to go past page 1, let alone page 27. So we figured out a way to make sure that your property is showcased at the top of the list no matter which one of these portals you go to. And in some of these situations, it means that we paid money. We pay subscription services to places like Trulia, Realestate.com, and Zillow. Other ones it's based solely on the amount of photographs or in some cases how often we update it. So we figured out a way to make sure your properties get to the front whenever possible in all those sites so that we can give you an additional advantage over those other people trying to sell in your neighborhood. Now, the third bucket for online marketing is classified services. Classified services are going to be things like Craigslist, Oodle, Kijiji, etc. What I figured out is that 99% of other agents, if they even put them on there at all, is they'll put them on once and forget about it. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to commit to posting your property every 48 hours on sites like Craigslist until your property actually sells. This is an aggressive way to make sure that your property is showcased on some of the most visited websites online. Now, a lot of people think that you've got to have a credit score under 500 to shop on Craigslist and some of these other sites, and it's just not true. We sell $1 million properties to $1 million investors and all price points through these type of portals. Now, additionally, we're going to make sure your property is showcased on the search engines, and this is something that we're probably the best at. We truly understand things like Google, Yahoo, MSN, and Bing, and the power of getting your property showcased in these most popular websites. And what we do is, I like to take the time with a seller and I like to just ask a few questions. And one of the first questions that I ask is, if I was a buyer looking to buy a property just like yours, what do you think I'd type into the search engines? And you'd probably pick some feature that was close by, or the city, the county, something. And those would all be great terms, search terms. And you knew that if someone's typing homes, say near Fort Detrick or near the Rio or something like that, they'd know exactly where they wanted to live. They'd probably have a job there, and you could guess that they probably knew the price points in the area. So if I could get your property to show up at the top of the search engines when somebody typed in things like homes near Fort Detrick or homes near the Rio, do you think that would get your property sold a little faster than another agent? Okay, what we've done is we've figured out how to get your property to be showcased there, which is in the paid advertising section, the yellow box on the top of the search results and then on the side box. But additionally, we figured out how to create content that the search engines like and how to get your listings to show up at the top of the search results through blogging about your property on ActiveRain and some other techniques that we've learned. I guarantee you that we'll be able to get your property to show up on more searches for more specific terms that we can determine that'll allow your property to sell for the most amount of money in the least amount of time.
Now, because of our sheer sales volume, it allows us to spend over $15,000 per month just in internet advertising alone to find and acquire buyers to purchase your property.
Now, the fifth real estate bucket that a lot of agents don't understand, and they probably spend a lot of time on them, but they aren't actually using it to market anything, is social media. And what I'm talking about is you need to have a plan to get your property marketed on places like Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, etc. Now we have a marketing plan that allows us to tweet about your property, post your property on fan pages, run ads on Facebook, create videos about your property on YouTube to make sure that no matter where somebody goes in the social landscape online, they're going to find your property. Now when I add all those things together, those 5 buckets, have you ever talked to another agent that said they would do something different for some reason that I forgot to mention? Specifically, we're talking about marketing your property online. A lot of people say they didn't even know real estate agents did that kind of stuff. And to tell you the truth, not a lot of them do. That's why the average agent in our market sells a fraction of what we're able to sell. Now, do you think that if we did all those things, we'd have a good chance of getting your property sold? Well, this is just a piece of what we do, and if it's okay with you, I'm going to keep going and talking about what we learned from the profile of buyers and sellers. Signs and flyers. The National Association of Realtors says that signs and flyers, although it's reduced over time, is still a significant amount of how buyers found the actual home that they purchased. What we've been able to find is about 9% of all clients found the actual home that they purchased through signs, flyers, or other on-site advertising. Because of this, you've got to have a marketing plan that allows you to create signage and flyers that make the phone ring to get people to want to see the inside of your home. And we've come up with a couple of things to get potential buyers excited about looking at a property like yours. One of the things we do is we create an offer on top of the property itself, and we call this one of our guarantees. And that's that if they make an offer to buy your particular home, I will sell their home for free. Now what this does is it takes potential buyers that may owe too much on their property that couldn't afford to buy your property, and it allows me to work with them directly. And what that means is if I can work with them directly purchasing your home, they would save some money so they could actually afford to buy your property. Now this increases the amount of available buyers by 10, 20, or even 30%. Additionally, we put out directional arrows and as much signage as your neighborhood and the city ordinances will allow us to do. When we host open houses, if you want us to do those, we'll put out a lot of signage. Additionally, we figured out ways to make sure that our flyers get phone calls. One of the things that we do on our flyers is we remove all of the pricing. Now this is the flyer I would give you for the inside of your property. Notice that it actually has the price on it. So when somebody comes into your home, they're already going to know the price, or if you want to hand this to a particular friend, but anyone on the outside, they're not going to have the opportunity to see the price. The way they get the most accurate current price is to pick up the phone and call me. And the reason I do that is I don't want people to disregard your property based on the flyer. I want them to look at it, get excited enough, and call me, and then give me an opportunity to use my sales skills and get them inside of your home. Because wouldn't you agree that if I could get somebody inside your home, there would be a higher chance of them actually buying it than if they took a flyer and just drove away? Now I've got to ask you, and you're probably sick of me asking this question, has anybody told you anything different, another agent, that they would do that I haven't already spoken to you about? Okay, I'm going to go on. Now, another thing that I learned from the National Association of Realtors was about open houses. Now, if you decide to do an open house, I just want to give you a couple quick warnings. Sometimes people use open houses because they're nosy neighbors and they just want to see into your property. Sometimes people that are looking to steal medications and jewelry and firearms or personal documents will wait till a realtor's tied up on the property and then go wander around and try and grab something. So mostly I just want you to make sure that when we do open houses that you secure any valuables that might be there. And if you want us to do an open house, I just want to let you know that we're always available to do open houses every single weekend until the home is sold, if that's what you desire. If you don't want strangers coming through your house, we will also have our video that we do that's like a 24-hour open house in the virtual tours, and those are wonderful. It's like a virtual open house walking through the entire property. And so if you don't want open houses, this just allows us to bring through only qualified buyers that are pre-qualified and serious rather than say the unqualified buyers or people that we don't know what their qualification is. Either way, we're okay with doing open houses every single weekend if that's what you desire. Now, other. Now that seems like a silly category to include in there, but really, this is where I get to ask you for your help. And what we learned is, through the National Association of Realtors, they said that there was an other category. There were friends and family that bought the properties, neighbors that bought it, maybe the seller found somebody at work, and I just want to ask you, who do you know that I should know that might be interested in a home like yours? And can you think of anybody? Okay, if I was willing to give you some flyers or some videos or emails to send out, would you mind sharing or posting those around work or in different places? And it's kind of like a race. It's teamwork here, and we're both trying to get the same thing done. And actually, after I get the offer on your property and get it accepted, that's when a lot of my real work starts too. That's when I start going through the appraisals and inspections and negotiations, etc. Well, the last thing that the National Association of Realtors says is that print advertising, print advertising is one of those things that cracks me up. The reason it cracks me up is that if I took the local newspaper, the print magazines, the Harmon Homes, and all of those different things and I stacked them on top of each other, they would reach all the way to the roof. And the National Association of Realtors says that only results in 3% of the sales last year. With all the print advertising that was done, only resulted in 3% of the sales. And the funny thing about that is that about 90% of the average agent's budget is spent on print advertising. Isn't that silly? Now, we do some print advertising. We like to showcase properties in the real estate book, and the reason I like that is because that's the one I read whenever I go out and get some teriyaki. You ever read those at the teriyaki restaurant? That's where people read them. But you know, you're bored, you're there waiting for your teriyaki to come out, you read the real estate book, and maybe there's a chance you'll see your property, but probably not. We do a little bit of print advertising, but I wouldn't bet on it. What I know is that if I add up all the different ways that we market a property, we add up how we're going to market your property to other agents, we do an amazing job of showcasing and marketing your property online, we understand that signage and flyers are important, we decide on open houses, I get you working with me to sell your property, and we do our print advertising. You add all those things together, I guarantee you it's the most aggressive, effective marketing plan for selling a property for the most amount of money. But I've got to ask you one last time, and please don't be upset with me. Is there anything that another agent has said that they would do that for some reason I forgot to mention that comes to getting your property sold? I want you to ask yourself that and then let me know. Now, wouldn't you agree that this is an aggressive plan to get a property sold? What I would like to do is I'd like to take care of the paperwork. Once we're done taking care of the paperwork, my staff will start going through the process of getting the property on the market, and I want to spend a few minutes talking with you about staging and how showings work, etc. Now, would that be all right with you? Now, of all the questions that we've answered, I'm sure there's one more question that's on your mind, so go ahead and say it out loud. Say, Tim, what do you charge? Now, in a normal real estate transaction, let's pretend that 6% is charged, and let's pretend for a second that each one of these dollar bills represents 1%. One of the things that sellers like you or many sellers in our market don't understand is they don't understand how these percentages are actually divided up. In fact, most of them imagine that we as realtors make a ton of money and we go home and we actually sleep in a bed filled with dollar bills and $100 bills and 20s. It's just not the case, and I would love an opportunity to explain to you how commissions actually work. Well, right off the bat, I'm going to take 3 of those dollar bills and I'm going to give those dollar bills to the agent that represents the buyer. Now after that, that leaves me with 3%. Now 3% seems like a lot, but let me explain how this is divided up. Now I work for a brokerage, and not just any brokerage. I work for a brokerage that gives us a lot of value, allows me to showcase your property nationally and internationally and all over. Now I pay about 1% directly to my brokerage from the transaction. So right off the bat, one of these dollar bills is going to have to go away to my broker. And at the end of that, after that it leaves me with $2 left. And I'm going to invest about $1 bill or 1% directly into the marketing and servicing of the listing, which means I'm left with 1%. And of that 1%, I get to tear that in half because I have to pay a percentage of that to Uncle Sam. And what's left, that's what I get to live on, eat on, feed my kids, and buy new shoes with. Does that make better sense to you? Has anyone ever explained commission to you like that before? Now I know there might have been another agent that said they would do it for 5% and that you were thinking about maybe hiring another person. I just want you to understand this. It's that the dollar bills work the same way. Right off the bat, we're going to take 3 of those dollar bills and give them directly to the agent that represents the buyer. If that agent is not charging you the extra percent, that goes away, so you're left with $2 bills. I take one of those dollar bills and I pay my brokerage, and any agent is going to work for a brokerage, so that leaves $1 bill. And if you had to take a guess between feeding the kids, buying new shoes, and making a living, or spending that money on the marketing and servicing of your listing, which one of those 2 things do you think that agent's going to be cheap on? They're going to take care of their kids. And what I found is when you do that, you actually end up not getting your property sold for the most amount of money. Do you think I would sell your property for more money if I showed the most amount of people, or do you think I would sell it for more money if I showed fewer people? And that's what our plan really does. Our plan is designed to market your property to as many people as possible so that in the end, I can get your property sold for the most amount of money in the least amount of time, which is what you want, right? Does that commission plan sound like it would work for you? Well, great, let's get started.
On behalf of everybody here at the Ultimate Selling Team,
I just want to say congratulations, and we are excited to start working with you, and we cannot wait to help you accomplish your goals of getting the most amount of money in the least amount of time so you can move forward in your life to your next chapter. Again, thank you so much.